If you want to turn your video on, you're welcome to. If you don't feel comfortable, that's totally fine. We're all very preggy with our preggy bellies, so you don't have to feel uncomfortable. And if anyone has any issues or injuries or anything that I need to be mindful of, you can just pop it in the chat box. You can message privately if you don't want to just speak up and let me know now. But this is going to be just a very general class. I'm 36 weeks pregnant, so not too much I can do at the moment, but a lot of these exercises, if you're fairly early on in your pregnancy, a lot of these movements and exercises you can just take with you as you go. So the whole intention around this class is mostly around balancing the pelvis, strengthening through the glutes, and just really trying to bring that alignment through through both sides of the pelvis, really, because if we have ipsilateral alignment, or one side of the pelvis is higher than the other, or stronger or weaker, etc., that's when we can encounter potential issues as the baby makes its cardinal movements down through the pelvis. So we really want to try to encourage balance. And anytime we do a unilateral movement, so one-sided movement, we always want to balance it and neutralize it with a cat-cow movement or some kind of forward backwards kind of movement of the pelvis, and then we can do the other side, that kind of thing. So unilateral movement is great, and we use it a lot during birth, but we don't want to pre-birth, we don't want to favor one side more so than the other, and we're trying to really get a balance through the pelvis. Also, what we're going to start with is a little bit of breath work that I've been doing breath work every morning throughout my whole pregnancy, about 30 minutes of breath work, just really gentle, and it's been amazing. And as most of you will know, we use the breath a lot in labor, and throughout your pregnancy as well. So that's why I just want to do a couple of exercises that I've been working with that I'm hoping to use in the early stages of labor. But you can also use them. It's a really amazing idea to just incorporate it in a daily practice or a couple times a week, so that you get the breath pattern in your mind and you create those neural pathways. So when you are in the intensity and the throes of labor, it feels more natural. It doesn't feel like you're teaching yourself something in an intense moment and environment. It's already in your body, it's familiar to you, and it's almost a default. Like your body will go there just to help you calm, to help you move with some of the early stage contractions and things like that. But by all means, remember that it's not a have to, it's a nice to have. If it shows up during birth, amazing. If the whole plan goes out the window, equally amazing. All right. So what I want you guys to do, if you have any yoga props, a bolster or some blocks, or even just a stool or a chair handy. I'm actually sitting on a birth ball. If you have one of those as well, a birth ball's not a bad option to do a little bit later on when we get into some of the movements, just to help as a support. So make sure you've got some kind of support for you, and then we'll start. So finding a comfortable position, can be cross-legged, can be, if you need to sit more on a couch or on a chair for this part, you're very welcome to do that as well. And then closing your eyes down. And just starting to fall into a natural rhythm with your breath. So in through the nose. And a gentle exhale through the mouth. So you can just separate or slightly part your lips. In through the nose. And out through the mouth. And the idea of this breath is to be calming and grounding. And your inhale and your exhale are balanced. And once you're comfortable with that breath, you can start to include a mantra. If you're working with a mantra throughout your pregnancy, and if you're not working with a mantra, you can work with this one for now. My breath calms me and brings me closer to my baby. So on your inhale, my breath calms me. On your exhale, and brings me closer to my baby. My breath calms me and brings me closer to my baby. My breath calms me and brings me closer to my baby. And then we'll transition into a second breath. And this one is to be used when you're in the middle of a contraction, an early contraction, so not super intense, but you need to give your mind something to focus on. So it's very similar. It's in through the nose, but for around 2 counts. So in, 2, then out through the mouth for 4, 3, 2, 1. In for 2, out for 4. Now, if you feel you can actually extend the breath out longer, so you could do in for 3, out for 6. If you've got that lung capacity and there's enough space to take those breaths and it doesn't cause you any stress in the breath, then you can lengthen it out. So you just want to work with what's comfortable for you and not putting any stress. And so the idea of the count is to occupy your mind. So as the intensity of the contraction is moving through the body, or the surge is moving through the body, your mind is dropping you in, but keeping you present on something other than the intensity of the sensation. And you can gently let that rhythmic breath go, just remaining in your comfortable seat. You guys hear me okay if I'm back here? Just give me a little thumbs up. Yeah, I think that's thumbs up. Okay, good. All right. So just inhale, take your hands high. And lean over to your right hand side. Stretching down through the side body and opening up a little into the diaphragm. And there's so much connection between the diaphragm and the pelvic floor. So we really want to work. You can drop your right hand down if you need a little bit more comfort and support there. Use a block if you need to. Again, we really want to work on balancing and opening up through the side body, through the diaphragm. Then inhale, coming up through the midline and just changing over left hand to the floor or a block. And taking around 5 breaths. So you can still continue the nice rhythmic breath and the breath connection that you established from the breath work. And then coming back up through the middle, releasing your palms. And just coming into a cat-cow sort of position. So taking your bolster or whatever you've been sitting on and place it to the side. You may need it a little later. Coming onto all fours. Just some subtle movements with the breath through the spine. So dropping down through your belly, elevating the head and the tail. And then with your exhale breath, it's a gentle rounding of the back body, lifting of the pelvis. Lifting or hugging of the belly, I should say, not the pelvis. Inhaling, heart and chest forward. That's it. And this is a lovely one to use at all times throughout the pregnancy. As you enter those later stages, the late second and third trimester, you might start to get some agitation around the thoracic spine and your ribs, some lower back pain. This is a nice neutralizer, one that will bring some mobility through the region, but it's not super intense. So as you feel you've got some mobility through the spine and pelvis, just extend your right leg back. So keep your big toe on the floor and just slide the big toe out behind you, keeping the pelvis level. So then on your inhale breath, slide it back in. On your exhale breath, slide it out. Keeping the spine neutral so you're not going through cat-cow, you're just moving in and out with the right leg. And if you're comfortable and want a little bit more intensity and challenge your stabilizers, you can elevate the right toe off the earth as well. So the exhale, draw right knee in towards your abdomen, and inhale, extend it out and away. Exhale, drawing in. Inhale, taking it long. Good. And then as you extend your right leg out on the next one, Imagine you've got a piece of chalk, or your big toe is a piece of chalk. Take the right leg out to the side, just a little way, and then exhale, draw it in behind you. Inhale, so you're just drawing a little arc on the earth. And exhale. Inhale, arc to the side. And exhale. Yeah. You're trying to, as best as you can, keep the pelvis neutral and the spine stable. And one more out to the side. And back with the right leg. And then you can bring that right knee in and change over to the left. If your wrists need a little moment, actually, let's do that. Come back onto your, you can curl your toes and just come back onto your heels. Just do some wrist circles. I'll come back so you can actually see me. Do some wrist circles in one direction and then change. You can also interlace your hands in front. Elevate. And interlace your hands behind your back. And lift up through the heart. Just try and open across the collarbones. And then returning to all fours, and we'll carry on the other side. So shoulders above your wrists. With your left leg, inhale, extend the big toe back, just keeping it subtly in contact with the earth. And then emptying the breath, drawing left knee in. Inhale, take it out and away. Exhale, bring it in. And if you want more intensity, feel free to elevate the left leg. Great. And then with that left leg on the next one, as you extend it out, just leave the big toe on the earth and take it out to the side. Just do that little 3/4 arc or circular, a quarter circle, and bring it back in behind you. If you're feeling this a little bit through the upper body, so through the shoulder region and the shoulder blades, just make sure you're elongating the neck. So the shoulder blades track down either side of the spine, almost like you're pulling your armpits or your underarms to your hips. That'll just help to engage nicely through the upper body. And 2 more of those. Nice. And then when you finish, bring that left leg in underneath you, so you're on all fours. If you need to release through the shoulders and the upper back, some cat-cow movements. Just 1 or 2 rounds. And then just take it down into a puppy pose or anahatasana. So walk your hands forward. You want to keep your hips above your knees and drop your heart space or your forehead down towards the mat. And if it isn't comfortable, by all means, don't take that pose. But if you're quite comfortable there, stay. And think about taking your sit bone, so the very base of your pelvis, think about elevating that skyward And then on your exhale breath, a gentle tuck under. So you may not even notice. There may be very minimal movement of your pelvis or of your sit bones, but it's almost like you're taking cat-cows in this gentle anahatasana pose. And then you can do some side-to-side movements with your pelvis, just some really subtle rotation. Getting deep into the pelvic floor, the pelvic bowl. Nice. Walking your hands back in now. Then come to a kneeling position. So tuck your toes under. And come up to kneeling. If your knees are uncomfortable and you need to roll up your mat or just place a towel underneath your knees to give you a bit of extra padding, you can. Then just extend your arms out in front of you so they're at shoulder height. Now, if it's too much with the arms, if they don't help you or you want to intensify, you can bring your hands to your shoulders or even just your hands to your hips is fine. But seeing how we go, we're actually going to drop our hips back to the heels. And then inhale, gently press up. And then again, coming down and back. Exhale and inhale. If you want to involve the arms come up towards the sky. Exhale, hips to heels. Inhale. And if the feet are really uncomfortable, you can uncurl the toes. But the intention here is to have a little bit of mild discomfort through the soles of the feet. And breathing in, rising up. And exhaling. 2 more. In. And out. Lovely. And then on the next one, come down and just sit on the heels. And interlace your hands again behind your back. Elevate through the heart space and chest. Three, 2, and release. So just uncurl your toes. If they need a little bit, you can just gently kick your feet out on the floor. Then we're going to move to standing. Now, I recommend if you're sort of late second trimester, third trimester, use your blocks or a chair to help you up. If you're comfortable getting up one leg at a time, right to left or left to right, and just in a forward bending position. So blocks out in front of you or support. Inhale and lengthen through the chest space. Now you can stay in this position if you need to. If you're comfortable hinging forward, feet nice and wide, make space for your belly. Just let your head hang. You can side to side with your hips. And when you feel ready, come up to standing. You can use hands to knees, hands to hips, or roll up, whatever feels comfy for you. And then as you make your way up to a standing position, take a nice deep breath in, reach up, lengthen and stretch again, both sides of the body. So take one breath as you lean left. And as you exhale, come back to neutral. Inhale, take it up and over, opposite side. And exhale, return. Inhale. And empty out. Last one. Great. Okay, then release your hands down by your sides. Feet hip width distance apart. Now for me, we're just going to do a couple of very mild squats. Turn your toe. I like to turn my toes out. It's all dependent on you. The same thing in terms of depth, totally up to you. You can have your hands at your hips. You can have your hands out in front. On the exhale breath, dropping down through the pelvis as if you're taking a seat, gently pressing back with your sit bones, but that subtle lift and hug of your belly up in towards your core region. Then inhale, press up. You can take your hands skyward. Exhale, empty the breath. Knees track over toes. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, release down. So we're going to take 10, that's 3. In. And exhale, empty. Good. Inhale. And out. So Ina May Gaskin says 300 squats a day is what you want to build up to prepare you for labor. I think I'm up to about 100 a day. But if you're going to include this into your daily routine, you can actually do it with a birth strap or something to hold on to out in front of you, so it's not so intense as well. I think 2 more, is that right? 2 more, exhale. And then inhale. Nice, last one. Good. And then rise. So from the top of your mats, we're going to step back, keep your right leg where it is, step your, I'll turn this way so you can see me, step your left leg back and come into a warrior 2 stance. Now, if anyone has any issues with the pelvic stability or sacro SIJ pain, anything like that, just shorten your stride. Take your arms out nice and long and eyes towards your fingertips. And just like you did in the squat, you can straighten your right leg out. And with your exhale breath, come into more depth. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, come to more depth. And just use that approach 2, 3, 5 times until you settle into a place where you're comfortable. Comfortable, but slightly challenged. Aiming to have the weight even over both of your feet. And then settle into eye gaze to your right palm. And potentially using that balanced breath. In through the nose and out through the mouth. In through the nose and out through the mouth. And as you hold, depending on the depth, the legs will start talking to you. The mind will start saying, when can we come out? Maybe I'll just straighten the leg. And you can totally make that choice, or you can try and use the breath to facilitate a slightly longer hold. Just to keep you in that space and in that zone a little bit longer. In. Staying calm through the intensity, out. Last breath in. Exhale. Straighten your right leg and then inhale your right arm to the sky. So it's a bit of a modified reverse warrior. Again, lengthening down this right side body. And then opening up, coming up to a standing position, but keep your feet nice and wide. Moving into a triangle pose. Now, if you've got a block or a support, I like to have it on the inside, nice and high when you're pregnant, so you're not coming down too low. If you don't have a block, but you need some support, you can bend this right leg a little bit, rest your forearm on your knee and take your left arm to the sky. Yeah, that's it. Perfect. And then press in evenly through both of your feet. Take an in-breath, come all the way up to standing and turn your right toes, whatever your front foot is, turn those in slightly. Your block can come in front of you. Then begin to gently hinge forward from the hips. You can bend your knees and place your hands on the block for support. Just forward folding. If that's comfortable for you, if it makes you dizzy, stay more at a halfway position. Then from where you are, gentle bend in your knees, hands to your pelvis, come all the way back up to standing. Turning your right toes to the top edge of your mat and step your left foot up to meet your right, or your back foot up, yeah. And then feet hip width distance apart, we'll take 10 squats again. So bending through the knees, take your hands to shoulder height. Press through the feet, take a breath in as you come up to stand. Exhale, bend through the knees and lower. Hands drop to shoulder height. Inhale, you can take your hands high, lengthen. Exhale, dropping deep. In. And emptying the breath out. Wonderful. 5 to go. Breath in. And out. Nice. All right. As you come up to standing, release your hands. Hands to your hips, step through the right leg. So the right leg comes back and come into a warrior two stance. I'm going to take that same sequence on the opposing side, arms out, shoulder height. And then just take a few bending and straightening of your left leg. To figure out where the point is for you today. That's one thing I've noticed throughout this pregnancy is the intensity point changes along the way. You know, what I could do at 20 weeks, 25 weeks is a distant memory to where I'm at now. And when you're ready, holding in that space. And dropping deeply into the breath. Let your shoulder blades melt down your back. Balanced weight over your front and your back foot. And then 2 more full breaths. Straightening through your left leg, take an inhale, open up down the left side body. And then when you feel comfortable to hinge forward, if you have your block, you can take triangle pose, Trikonasana, but keeping your chest nice and high, or have a subtle bend in the left leg and support your upper body with your elbow resting on your knee. So a slightly modified version. And from where you are, press into your feet, come all the way up to standing, turning your toes in. And if you can, bring your block out in front of you. Just moving into a goddess pose before we take a forward bend. So heels turn in and toes turn out wide. Shoulders above your hips. And that subtle hug of baby up in towards the spine. Drop your sit bones down and open up through the chest space. If you need to close your eyes down, close your eyes down. And then 5 breaths. In through the nose, emptying through the mouth. My breath controls my mind. I control the intensity. My breath controls my mind. I control the intensity. Last one. My breath controls my mind. I control the intensity. Straighten through the legs, hands to your hips. Turn your toes in again slightly. Just coming down into that halfway position, 1 or 2 blocks out in front of you. And very subtly rocking your body weight forward, rocking your body weight back. You can have a subtle bend through the knees. Then gently toe heel your feet a little narrower, so you're coming more in towards the midline. Hands to your hips, come all the way to standing. Just some standing balances from here. So starting with tree pose, depending on where you are in your pregnancy, you might be able to bring your right foot all the way up into the thigh. Amazing. If you're feeling a little wobbly and need some stability, just a little kickstand. I don't think you guys can see because my block's in the way. So heel to your ankle and just resting the big toe on the floor. Hands can be at your hips or at your heart. If you need the wall, use a wall. Balance gets tricky. You can take your hands to the sky if you're feeling nice and balanced. Just a subtle elevation of the heart, so very mini backward bending or spinal extension. And then releasing your hands down through center. Just releasing the right leg. Hands come back to your hips. So staying with that right leg as the lifted one. So we're still working into the left leg. Slide your right foot back so that your big toe is just resting on the earth behind you. The variation on what you might know as dancer's pose. Now again, depending on your comfort level here, you can gently hinge from the hips, taking your upper body forward and elevating the right leg. If you feel you still need the support of the big toe on the earth, keep that close. If you can comfortably take it a step further, with your right hand, you can always reach back and grab a hold of your right foot. You may want to extend the left arm out in front and take your preggy version of dancer's pose. Three, two, and release and change sides. So that left leg might be feeling it a little. If it needs a little shake out, you can shake it out. Then shifting tree pose, so right foot becomes, or right leg becomes the grounded leg, left leg starts to elevate. And take it in stages. Once you've got a little bit of balance, hands can come to heart. If you lose that balance, just come back. You can take hands to sky. And release your arms to your hips, release your left leg, staying with the weight through the right, transition so your left big toe is out behind you. And take it in stages, hinging forward from the hips, letting that left leg rise, if that works. If you want to go that step further with your left hand, you can reach back and grab the left foot. You can take the inside or the outside of the foot. Anything goes in pregnancy. We modify. And releasing the leg. Feet hip width distance apart. Take an inhale breath, reach up. Exhale, bend through the knees, bow forward. Blocks can be out in front of you or your chair to stabilize. Take a halfway lift. Then gently step back with your right leg, drop your right knee, and come back to an all fours position again. Now, option here, depending on where you are, cat and cow. If you're comfortable and downward dog is still okay for you, you're welcome to press up and back through your hips. And lengthening through the back body. If it's not feeling great or if it makes you feel dizzy, just staying on your knees. Yeah. Perfect. Then from wherever you are, down dog or all fours, both knees come to the earth for a moment. And you may need to come up to kneeling, but you're going to step your right foot out in front of you. So stepping your right leg forward. And then this is where you want some support out in front. It can be a block or two. It can be a chair. I personally really like to do this with my birth ball if you have your ball handy. But if not, anything will do. So blocks on the inside, slightly out in front. Then you just gently lunge in. And then draw the hips and pelvis back. Gently bend the front knee, chest forward. Exhale, draw the pelvis back. Inhale forward, chest open. And emptying the breath. So this is another simple one and an amazing one to include in your little pregnancy routine. Helping to neutralize the pelvis. And you can spend some time in a hamstring stretch. So you can also lift the front foot or the front toes off the earth, bow forward. If you feel you need to stay there, just stay there. Any sticky points you find along the way, stay there for a moment. Okay. And then from where you are, coming up to kneeling, but keep your left leg out in front. Oh, sorry, your right leg out in front. Take your right leg out to the side. Yeah. So the same leg out to the side and a lateral stretch again. So opening all the way down through this left-hand side. You can use a block if you need that support, or just resting your right hand on your right leg. And then inhaling, coming up, hands or blocks out in front of you. Keep the right leg in that same position, but just shifting backwards through the hips. So shifting forwards with the pelvis, then emptying and taking the pelvis back. Inhale forwards. Exhale back. Great. And then returning to an all fours position before we transition to the opposite side, neutralizing 1 or 2 cat-cow movements. And then if you're comfortable to, you can actually take the pelvis forward. You can elevate the feet and exhale, draw the hips back. Inhale, pelvis forward. Exhale back. And when you feel ready to transition to the opposite side, using the props as you need to, left leg out in front, support with blocks or a chair or a birth ball out in front of you. Just start to do that same movement. Weight through the right foot, heart forward, chest open. Exhaling, gently drawing the hips back. And noticing any variations in the two sides. Any sticky points. You can pause in the hamstring stretch. Spending the time where you need. And then when you feel ready, coming back to kneeling and take your left leg out to the side. Yeah. Reach up and lengthen through both sides of your waist, then up and over towards that left leg. And a couple deep inhales here. And rising up through the midline. Have your support out in front of you if you need them. Gently taking the pelvis forward, then drawing both of your sitting bones back. Inhale forward. Exhaling back. These unilateral movements are great to be used if needed or when they're needed during birth. Particularly the lunges with the birth ball. And then back to all fours, so you're in a neutral position. If you need cat-cow, take cat-cow. You can just go straight into the pelvic rocks, forwards and backwards. If you feel like you need some circles, you can move the whole body. Your hands and knees in circular directions one way, and circular directions the other way. And then coming to find a comfortable seat again when you're ready. No rush at all. Just comfortable seat with your eyes closed. And paying attention to the breath again. So a balanced, natural rhythm. And then if you feel comfortable, we're just going to take one final breath practice. So very gently, we're going to inhale. It's 7 subtle sips of air through the nose and 7 subtle exhales through the mouth. So really minimal movement of the breath. It's just 7 in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out through the mouth. In through the nose, 7. Exhale, 7 subtle breaths out. Nose. And mouth. And if it's adding stress, leave it or shorten it. And then letting go of the breath. Just let your natural breath come back. If you feel to, bringing your hands to prayer at your heart space. And just honoring each other and ourselves for coming together this morning. And we say to each other, Namaste. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining in. If you have any questions, let me know. Happy to hang around. And if not, have an absolutely amazing weekend. All the best for your births, your home births, your pregnancy journeys. And we'll be in touch soon. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Emma.
My pleasure, Janine. See you Thursday.
Thank you.
Bye, ladies. Is it cold in Melbourne? You just look freezing. I can't hear you for some reason. Oh, I've muted you. See you, lovelies.
Bye.
Bye.